Hi, welcome back. This is to the second part of the VOC, Victory Over Communism. Sorry to have to talk about this, but it's a serious issue and we gotta know the truth to be able to battle it. Okay, we just had a wonderful thing happen here. We had a big Rod of Iron Freedom Festival at Car Arms in Greeley, Pennsylvania. Our town's local newspaper said, "A good time was had by all." The turnout was extremely good. The event was a chance to celebrate and rejoice in love of God and country and support of freedom, both First and Second Amendment rights. It was an open carry event. We are allowed to carry firearms openly on our side here in Pennsylvania. But it was 100% peaceful event with people carrying AR-15s, AK-47 and many other guns, led by Reverend Sean Moon and Mr. Justin Moon. And many righteous people like Greg Sawyer came and spoke, and John Teagan and Alan Gottlieb and Pastor Cook, encouraging Christianity to become strong again, and many more. I had a great time, and so did all of my family. Christian righteous people need to stand strong against tyranny. Okay, let's look at history, how all this tyranny came about. When we look at history, genocide happened after government took away guns from their citizens. That's why the Second Amendment gun rally was really important. In Germany, gun sale was banned to Jews in 1938, and from 1939 to 45, 30 million unarmed Jews and other unarmed Germans were sent to concentration camps and killed. Soviet Union instituted gun control in 1929, and they confiscated guns from a before heavily armed society. Like all the people had guns in Russia, all the farmers everywhere. But from 1929 to 1953, 20 million unarmed, without means to self-defense, were herded together and slaughtered. China's gun control started in 1938, and from 1945 to 1952, 20 million of political dissidents were massacred with no means for self-defense. Additional 53 million were killed through government policies, causing mass starvation. And then another 300 million were killed through abortion. In Cambodia, gun control in 1956, from 1975 to 77, over 1 million people who were considered to have been contaminated by education or contact with the Western values or culture were eliminated. Probably basically Christians. Guatemala implemented gun control regulation in 1964 in advance of killing 100,000 Mayan Indians. Uganda launched its gun control program in 1970, just before an 8-year reign of terror, resulting in thousands of Christians being put to death. Mainstream media is working with the government, covering up the mass murders of people, or putting it in a positive light. Unfortunately, such dishonest coverage of totalitarian causes and governments is widespread. So this was from the Rod of Iron Kingdom book by Reverend Hyunkin Sean Moon. He's the youngest son of Reverend Sun Myung Moon, who years later started Washington Times, Sege Ilbo, and Noticia del Monde, and many other newspapers worldwide to get the truth out about what is happening in the world and to stand up against tyrannical governments and communism. Okay, let's check out what's really behind it. Let's check out Karl Marx's life. Why did he start communism? Why did he write the Communist Manifesto? So Marx was born in Trier, Rhenish Prussia in Germany on May 5, 1818, as the second son in a lineage which has been traditional Jewish rabbinical, like his ancestors were rabbis. His father, Heinrich Marx, had converted to Christianity in 1816 because of an ordinance designed to purge Jews from public life. In 1824 he converted his 7 children, including Karl Marx. However, Karl's mother Henrietta resisted the conversion, so in 1825 she did convert, but returned to Judaism after her husband's death. This then was Marx's family situation. On one hand, he was discriminated against by the Prussian society for being Jewish. On the other hand, he was looked down upon as an apostate by the Jewish community. In this situation, Marx must have had strong feelings of loneliness, alienation, inferiority, humiliation, and defeat. We can imagine that this lack of identity and self-assurance eventually transformed him into an extremely rebellious and militant person, bitter towards the world, resentful towards the world. In addition, Marx came to despise the self-satisfied attitudes of Jews and Christians alike, the arrogance. He seems to have been religious during his childhood, but he began to challenge religion even from his secondary school days. By 1843, Marx would proclaim that religion is the opiate of the people. Christianity is no opium. Opium is supposed to just give you pleasure and remove your pain. But in Christianity you are supposed to suffer for Christ and be ready to be mocked, hated, and scorned by the world, even to pick up the cross. This is from Jordan Peterson. Marx utilized the main themes of Hegel's thought, among them development through contradiction, the eventual establishment of an ideal society, and the realization of freedom. We can trace the thought of Karl Marx to the Marx and Engels Manifesto of the Communist Party. This is from their collected works, Volume 6. It's kind of like a summarization of it. Abolition of private property through class struggle is the ultimate answer to the ills of society. Number 1. The true essence of man is labor. Thus production activities are the original nature of man. 2. The product of labor is seized by the capitalist as their private property. 3. For the capitalist to have deprived the workers of the product of their labor has resulted in the alienation of man. 4. The solution to alienation of man and the human community, the liberation of man, can only be achieved by the abolition of the private ownership of property. In America today, there's tax farming. And if people cannot pay their tax bill for property tax and school tax, they can lose their house or farm or whatever they own. 5. The method of abolishment of the private property is violent revolution. 6. Only the proletariat is capable of leading this revolution. These points constitute the groundwork of Marxism, and Marx was adamantly opposed to compromising or altering them. He opposed attempting a peaceful process to achieve the elimination of private property. He also opposed any kind of utopian socialism which would appeal to human sympathies or morality. He saw that previous attempts to realize ideal socialist communities always failed. Marx laid the blame for their failure on lack of philosophy and a disregard for the vital role of mass violence. In 1960, Nikita Khrushchev promised his people that by the year 1980, the communist ideal state would exist in the Soviet Union. What is the reality? Can we say that Soviet worker has come to enjoy the communist utopia? This is from 1984, before the Berlin Wall came down and Russia was freed from communism. Tragically, instead of workers' paradise, millions of Russians and other people have been delivered into a living hell. In the name of collectivization, millions were exterminated. They were starved. Even today, the system cannot function without a gulag of thousands of prison camps. That's how the Soviet workers were supposedly working for the state, and the state was supposedly taking care of the workers in an optimum fashion. The Soviet workers could not advance toward an optimum life. They were struggling to survive. The average salary of the Soviet laborer was 171 rubles per month, yet the necessary salary for subsistence of an average family was 210 rubles. Many Soviet citizens in Azerbaijan and other parts of Soviet Union were living in caves. Many of them did not even speak the Russian language, nor could they read or write. In spite of this, according to Michael Woslensky, La Nomenclatura, a certain group lived quite well in the Soviet Union. They enjoyed the newest products from Europe, Japan, and the United States. Their children attended private schools. They were the new Soviet super elite, and the price of their well-being was the blood, sweat, and tears of the Russian laborers. Andrew Guide, whom we quoted above as a one, this is how it is in China and North Korea today. Plus, in China there is a severe persecution of Christians and Buddhists to the point of using them as organ donors. In total, what is Marxism? It is nothing more than an apologetic for violent revolution and a justification for murder. Marx maintained that his study was scientific and objective, but as we have seen, it is really a set of arguments engineered to buttress prior conclusions. So thank you very much for listening. I have 2 more sections, so hang in there and please subscribe, and thank you so much for your support. Have a great day. Bye-bye. See you.